Welcome into another Tech Talks presented by EGP Document Solutions. I'm Andy Demetra, and how about this? We have a second straight transatlantic Tech Talks joining us from his native Ireland, where he and four of his teammates are spending the week as part of a visit organized by Tourism Ireland and the Aer Lingus College Football Classic, where Georgia Tech will, of course, open the 2024 season. Is Georgia Tech punter David Shanahan. David, welcome back, and I guess for you, welcome home. How are things?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. No, things have been great. So we got here on Monday morning. We arrived into Shannon Airport, which is a small airport, Southwest Ireland, about 5 a.m. And we've pretty much been going since. We've been busy all day. It's been a really good time though.
Well, I had to break out the Irish national rugby kit in your honor. You're out
Love it.
there with several of your teammates, KJ Wallace, Lamiles Brooks, Billy Ward, Gavin Stewart. Man, like you said, you've spent the past week going all around Ireland. I had to imagine this is so special for you being a native of Castle Island, County Kerry, Ireland. But I want to know, David, how has it been kind of sharing your home country and your culture with your Georgia Tech teammates out there?
Yeah, no, it's been great. Obviously, coming from Ireland and being in Atlanta, everything for me is completely different over there. It's completely foreign, when I first got there. So getting to see them come over to Ireland and kind of have, similar experience, different food, different culture, they can't really understand what people are saying sometimes. It's, different lingo. It's been cool to see their perspective on everything, and obviously getting to show them where I'm from and take them to my home and everything. It's been really fun.
Well, and you can follow all of the footage and content on RamblingWreck.com and Georgia Tech football's social media pages in the days ahead. Your first stop was the Cliffs of Moher, a very historic landmark. Probably better punting into the tailwind out there. It seemed like a little bit of a gale force situation out there. How was that?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I would not fancy punting into that wind. I think I'd probably just hang up the cleats if I was asked to do that. I'd call it quits. But it was really cool. It was actually I'd only been there, once before, and I was like 10 years old. It's only like 2 hours away from my house. I don't know why I never went there, but that was a lot of fun. It was really windy.
And of course, 2 hours from the Cliffs of Moher is Castle Island, small town where you grew up, and you actually welcomed your teammates into your family home in Castle Island. What was it like you introducing your teammates to your extended family?
Yeah, that was class. My mom cooked for like 30 people, so shout out to her for doing that. But no, that was really great. They got to meet a bunch of like my childhood friends. They got to meet my brothers and my sister and my parents. It was really cool for my family to because they'd been to games, but they'd never really gotten the opportunity to meet players because game days are and stuff. So for them to get to meet Gavin and KJ and Miles and Billy, that was really awesome.
Was this a big event in Castle Island, having David Shanahan come back home? I mean, Castle Island is on the smaller side. I'm sure this was a well-received homecoming for you and your teammates.
Yeah. There's only about 2,000 people live there. So I'm sure we were the talk of the town for or will be for the next week or so.
Well, you guys did get some football in Castle Island, but we're talking Gaelic Association football, and I understand Kerry's local team is in the semifinals of the county championships, or the country championships, I should say. Very few people, I imagine, David, have seen, let alone heard of, Gaelic Association football. Can you give us sort of the most concise definition of what the sport is? And I'm curious which of your teammates took to it the most naturally.
Yeah, so Gaelic football and hurling, they're the two national sports in Ireland. So I'm from Kerry, so it's a real Gaelic football country. It's kind of like American football in the South. It's kind of religion. So it's basically a cross between rugby and soccer, you'd say. So yeah, we got to do that. We had some questionable performances. I wouldn't say Billy Ward he wasn't exactly a natural.
Way to throw your teammate immediately under the bus, but
Yeah,
that's okay.
yeah, yeah. Billy has the size to compensate for everything else, so he doesn't really need the skill level. KJ was probably the best. KJ or Gavin. There's probably a toss up between them two.
Well, no surprise a kicker like yourself would take to
Yeah,
the sport well.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and, and even though you were out of the country on July 4th, you still were able to participate in a fairly large 4th of July parade in the town of Killarney, where I understand you guys were one of the featured guests in this parade. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, I never knew there was Fourth of July parade in Killarney. They went out there, and I mean, they all the bells and whistles. They do everything. They had like fake cowboys. They had Uncle Sam. They had everyone. So that was pretty cool. They even set up like they got a bunch of high school kids and got them to dress up in American football gear and like reenact different plays and stuff. But that was fun to see. They just kind of they pretty much hit every American stereotype. So it was great.
In a loving way, of course.
Yeah.
Has this trip, David, kind of brought everything full circle? You know, you left home at age 16 to go to Pro Kick Australia and now punting at Georgia Tech, where you've been a 2-year starter for the Yellow Jackets. Has this kind of evoked some nostalgia being back home and understanding just the full scope of your journey to the flats?
Yeah, it's kind of like worlds colliding a little bit, you know. I definitely never thought that Georgia Tech would be coming to Castle Island. Yeah, so it definitely has. It's sort of like pinch myself that it's really happening, you know, that there's a bunch of Georgia Tech football players in my kitchen. Yeah, so it's definitely been an experience.
Well, whether it's been in Castle Island, in County Kerry, in Killarney, at the Cliffs of Moher, and you guys are currently in Dublin, what has been the reception seeing the locals, you know, with all the Georgia Tech gear that you guys have been wearing?
Yeah, the reception's been really good. A lot of questions. I think everyone immediately flocks to Billy just because he's the biggest. They see like me, KJ, and Lamiles and Gavin because like I guess the stereotype American football player is big and strong, but I guess the guys play the defensive backs and me and Gavin are kickers. So I'm pretty sure they only think Billy's the only player, which is fair enough. But yeah, no, it's a lot of questions, a lot of stuff like that. A lot of people asking us what we're doing here. But general reception has been really good. People have been really good to us.
Oh, that's wonderful. And of course, this is all in advance of the Aer Lingus College Football Classic to open the 2024 season, where you guys will be taking on Florida State. I do have one last question because you were able to visit your childhood home. Your mom, very generous, cooking for a group of 30. I want to confirm, though, David, if this story is true, I heard that your freshman year after the North Carolina game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, you got a call from your mom in the middle of the night in Ireland. And to that point, she didn't realize that punters could get hit, and you did get lit up pretty good on a punt rush, and she kind of called you at about 3 a.m. local time, maybe somewhat upset, maybe somewhat panicked after seeing her boy kind of take a hit that she didn't anticipate.
Yeah, no, I remember I got absolutely rocked against North Carolina. We were playing in the Benz, and so as it happened, the game was on pretty late, so my mom had actually fallen asleep. And then she woke up, and obviously my dad told her what had happened, and it was like immediately like they weren't supposed to hit you. They weren't supposed to hit you. But I reassured her that it wasn't as bad as it looked.
How about that? Well, she has plenty to be proud of, and I'm sure it's been a treat getting you back home for this past week where you were here along with the rest of your Georgia Tech teammates. Can't wait to see you back here in Atlanta. Enjoy the rest of your experience out there in the Emerald Isle. I know it's been a long time coming for you, and can't wait to see what footage you guys bring back. David Shanahan, thanks so much for joining us here on Tech Talks, presented by EGP Document Solutions.
For sure. Thanks for having me.